Today, Bitcoin is the market leader of cryptocurrencies. As of November 26, 2021, the combined market value of the world's Bitcoins totaled over $1.3 trillion. That's more than Hong Kong, New Zealand, and Finland's annual GDP put together. But it wasn't always this way. Bitcoin is still a relatively new and volatile asset, and its value can fluctuate rapidly based on a variety of factors such as market demand, regulatory changes, and technological developments. One of the key differences between cryptocurrency and traditional currency is that cryptocurrency is decentralized and operates independently of a central bank. Traditional currencies, on the other hand, are controlled by a central authority, such as a government or central bank. The history of Bitcoin is a fascinating one, and today we are going to explore to its full extent. Welcome to Bank On It, the home of business and finance on YouTube. Before jumping into it, subscribe to get more fantastic videos like this one. 2008 The creation of Bitcoin. The true identity of the person or group who created Bitcoin remains a mystery. In 2008, a white paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, was published under the name Satoshi Nakamoto. This paper describes the technical details of a new electronic currency that would operate on a decentralized network, without the need for a central authority. Satoshi Nakamoto was also responsible for creating the original Bitcoin software and mining the first Bitcoins. The Bitcoin network was launched in January 2009 with the release of the first Bitcoin software, which allowed users to mine and transfer Bitcoins. The first Bitcoin transaction was made by Satoshi Nakamoto, who sent 10 Bitcoins to a programmer named Hal Finney. In 2011, Nakamoto disappeared from the public eye and has not been heard from since. Despite numerous attempts to uncover Nakamoto's true identity, it remains unknown to this day. Since Nakamoto's disappearance, the development of the Bitcoin software and network has been taken over by a community of developers who work together to maintain and improve the system. Bitcoin quickly gained popularity among early adopters who saw it as a way to bypass traditional financial institutions and make anonymous transactions. Over time, Bitcoin has become increasingly mainstream and has been adopted by businesses and individuals around the world as a legitimate form of payment. 2009. In 2009, Bitcoin was launched as an open-source software project, which allowed users to mine and trade the digital currency. The first Bitcoin transaction took place on January 12, 2009, when Satoshi Nakamoto sent 10 Bitcoins to Hal Finney, a programmer and early Bitcoin enthusiast. During the early days of Bitcoin, it was primarily used by a small group of tech enthusiasts and hobbyists. However, as more people became interested in the technology, the value of Bitcoin began to rise. In October 2009, the first Bitcoin exchange rate was established, which set the value of 1 BTC to be worth around $0. Despite its early success, Bitcoin faced many challenges in its early days. One of the biggest challenges was convincing people to trust a new and untested digital currency. Additionally, early Bitcoin exchanges were prone to hacking and security breaches, which led to the loss of Bitcoins for many users. Despite these challenges, Bitcoin continued to grow in popularity, and its value continued to rise. Today, Bitcoin is widely accepted as a legitimate form of payment and has a market capitalization of over $1 trillion USD. 2010. Bitcoin saw significant developments in 2010, which helped to establish it as a viable digital currency. Here are some key events that occurred in 2010. In March 2010, the first Bitcoin exchange, called the Bitcoin Market, was launched. This allowed people to buy and sell Bitcoins for the first time, which helped to increase its liquidity and make it easier for people to obtain Bitcoins. Throughout 2010, the value of Bitcoin continued to increase, from around $0 at the beginning of the year to around 8 cents USD by the end of the year. This represented a significant increase in value and helped to attract more people to the digital currency. The creation of Bitcoin Pizza Day. On May 22, 2010, a programmer named Laszlo Hanieks made history by using 10,000 Bitcoins to purchase 2 pizzas. This event, which has become known as Bitcoin Pizza Day, is now celebrated annually by Bitcoin enthusiasts around the world. As more people began mining Bitcoins, the difficulty of the mining process increased, which made it more challenging to obtain new Bitcoins. This helped to ensure that the supply of Bitcoins remained limited, which helped to increase their value. 2011. Bitcoin experienced both ups and downs in 2011. Here are some key events that occurred during that year. Bitcoin's price was extremely volatile during 2011. Its value rose from around 30 cents USD in January to over $30 USD in June, before crashing to around $2 USD in November. This volatility was due to the fact that Bitcoin was still a relatively new and untested technology, and its value was largely driven by speculation. In January 2011, an online black market called Silk Road was launched, which allowed people to buy and sell illegal drugs using Bitcoin. This helped to increase the popularity of Bitcoin among people who valued its anonymity and lack of regulation. In June 2011, the largest Bitcoin exchange at the time, Mt. Gox, was hacked, which led to the theft of thousands of Bitcoins. This incident highlighted the security risks associated with storing large amounts of Bitcoins on centralized exchanges. Bitcoin Magazine launches. In May 2011, the first issue of Bitcoin Magazine was published, which helped to raise awareness of Bitcoin and its potential as a disruptive technology. Despite the ups and downs of 2011, Bitcoin continued to grow in popularity, and more businesses and individuals began to accept it as a legitimate form of payment. The events of 2011 also helped to highlight some of the risks associated with Bitcoin and led to efforts to improve its security and stability. 2012, Bitcoin experienced several significant developments in 2012, which helped to further establish it as a legitimate digital currency. Here are some key events that occurred during that year. Throughout 2012, Bitcoin continued to gain acceptance among businesses and individuals. Several high-profile companies, including WordPress and Reddit, began accepting Bitcoin payments, which helped to increase its legitimacy and utility. In November 2012, the reward for mining new Bitcoins was halved from 50 BTC to 25 BTC. This was the first halving event in Bitcoin's history, and it helped to slow the rate at which new Bitcoins were being created. Several new Bitcoin clients were released in 2012, including Multibit and Electrum, which helped to improve the usability and security of the Bitcoin network. In August 2012, a U.S. federal judge ruled that Bitcoin should be treated as a currency for the purposes of a money laundering case. This ruling helped to establish Bitcoin as a legitimate currency in the eyes of the law. 2012 was an important year for Bitcoin as it continued to gain acceptance and legitimacy. The halving of Bitcoin rewards helped to slow the rate at which new Bitcoins were being created, which helped to maintain the digital currency's scarcity and value. 2013, Bitcoin experienced a significant boom in 2013, which helped to establish it as a mainstream digital currency. Here are some key events that occurred during that year. In early 2013, the price of Bitcoin began to surge, rising from around $13 USD in January to over $1,000 USD in November. This represented a significant increase in value and helped to attract more attention to Bitcoin. As the price of Bitcoin surged, it began to receive more mainstream media coverage, which helped to increase public awareness of the digital currency. This led to more businesses and individuals accepting Bitcoin as a legitimate form of payment. As Bitcoin gained in popularity, regulators around the world began to take notice. Some countries, including China and Thailand, banned Bitcoin outright, while others, including the United States, began to develop regulatory frameworks to govern the use of digital currencies. In October 2013, the world's first Bitcoin ATM was launched in Vancouver, Canada. This allowed people to buy and sell Bitcoins using cash, which helped to make the digital currency more accessible to a wider range of people. 2013 was a pivotal year for Bitcoin, as it experienced a significant increase in value and mainstream acceptance. However, it also faced regulatory challenges, which helped to highlight the need for clear and consistent regulations governing the use of digital currencies. Bitcoin experienced several significant events and challenges in 2014, which helped to shape its development and increase its resilience as a digital currency. Here are some key events that occurred during that year. In February 2014, Mt. Gox, the largest Bitcoin exchange at the time, filed for bankruptcy after losing over 850,000 Bitcoins in a hack. This was a significant blow to Bitcoin's reputation, as it highlighted the risks associated with storing large amounts of Bitcoins on centralized exchanges. Bitcoin's price was extremely volatile in 2014, with its value fluctuating between $300 USD and $1,000 USD throughout the year. This volatility was partly driven by the aftermath of the Mt. Gox hack, as well as regulatory uncertainty and market speculation. In 2014, several countries around the world began to develop regulatory frameworks for digital currencies. In the United States, for example, the Internal Revenue Service ruled that Bitcoin should be treated as property for tax purposes, while in Japan, the government began to recognize Bitcoin as a legitimate payment method. Despite the challenges faced by Bitcoin in 2014, its adoption continued to grow. Several large companies, including Microsoft and Expedia, began accepting Bitcoin payments, and the number of Bitcoin ATMs around the world continued to increase. 2014 was a challenging year for Bitcoin, as it faced significant regulatory uncertainty and reputational challenges in the aftermath of the Mt. Gox hack. However, the digital currency also continued to grow in popularity and adoption, and its resilience in the face of these challenges helped to establish it as a legitimate and valuable asset. 2015. In 2015, Bitcoin continued to face regulatory challenges and market volatility, while also experiencing some notable developments in its technology and adoption. Here are some key events that occurred during that year. Bitcoin's price remained volatile in 2015, fluctuating between $200 USD and $500 USD throughout the year. This volatility was partly driven by regulatory uncertainty as well as market speculation and trading activity. Several countries around the world continued to develop regulatory frameworks for digital currencies in 2015. In the United States, for example, the New York Department of Financial Services introduced the BitLicense, which required businesses dealing with virtual currencies to obtain a license. In Europe, the European Union ruled that Bitcoin should be treated as a currency for tax purposes. In 2015, several companies and organizations began to explore the potential of blockchain technology, which underpins the Bitcoin network. This led to the creation of new blockchain-based platforms, such as Ethereum, which allowed for the creation of decentralized applications. Bitcoin continued to gain acceptance and adoption in 2015, with several major companies, including Dell and PayPal, announcing partnerships with Bitcoin payment processors. The number of Bitcoin ATMs around the world also continued to increase. 2015 was a year of continued growth and development for Bitcoin, despite the challenges it faced in terms of regulatory uncertainty and market volatility. The increasing interest in blockchain technology helped to establish Bitcoin as a legitimate and valuable asset, while its growing adoption and acceptance helped to increase its utility as a digital currency. In 2016, Bitcoin experienced a number of significant developments, including increased adoption, technological advancements, and regulatory changes. Here are some of the key events that occurred during that year. After experiencing significant price volatility in previous years, Bitcoin's price stabilized in 2016, hovering between $400 USD and $700 USD for most of the year. This stability helped to increase confidence in Bitcoin as a legitimate asset. In 2016, the Bitcoin network underwent several technological advancements, including the implementation of the Segregated Witness Protocol, which increased the efficiency and security of Bitcoin transactions. The Lightning Network, a second-layer protocol that enables faster and cheaper Bitcoin transactions, also began to gain traction. Bitcoin continued to gain acceptance and adoption in 2016, with more companies and organizations beginning to accept Bitcoin payments. Notably, the Japanese government recognized Bitcoin as a legal method of payment, leading to a surge in Bitcoin adoption in the country. Several countries around the world continued to develop regulatory frameworks for digital currencies in 2016. In the United States, for example, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission ruled that Bitcoin was a commodity, while the Securities and Exchange Commission denied an application to launch a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund. 2016 was a year of significant progress and development for Bitcoin, with increased adoption, technological advancements, and regulatory changes all contributing to the growing legitimacy of the digital currency. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for Part 2.